Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to another episode of Soulja Talk the podcast. I'm your host, Staff Sergeant McPherson, and on this show we discuss military topics with current and prior service members. Today I'm here with Chief Franco. What's going on, Chief?
How you doing? How you guys doing?
Yes, sir. So today me and Chief is going to explain to you guys how to request dispositions in the proper way. So when you requesting dispositions, what are some of the reasons some units might request a disposition, Chief?
So it depends on what kind of dispositions you're talking about. So a unit can request disposition instructions for turning or lateral transfer depending on the situation. But so it should be if equipment is excess in the MTOS property book or in the brigade if it's excess. Another thing is like we said, mainly if it's excess. So if it's excess, you put it on vetting open. Also, if you have equipment that is unserviceable, right? If it's exceeding the condition of the equipment, then it needs to be on DST. Or if equipment is, let's say for instance, damage or different types of equipment, like a rollover of a vehicle that needs a flipple, right? But if it needs to be turned in, if it finds to be a turn in, then it needs to create it on the PSD for a directive and DST for a directive.
Yes, so far as requesting dispositions, most units request disposition if it's excess equipment or if the equipment is not working. So I want to cover DST directed versus vetting open. So a lot of people have questions about DST directed versus vetting open. So I'm gonna cover the DST directed, and Chief will cover the vetting open. So far as the DST directed, that's when the basically the lateral transfer or turn in is cut from higher, basically, right, Chief? That's saying that they notice excess on your property book and they're gonna initiate the transaction for you guys. So that's the DST directed. And Chief, can you explain the vetting open?
So the vetting open is when sometimes the unit creates a vetting open because if they already have the TI, the technical inspection of the equipment. So if it's they create the vetting open on DST, so they upload it. The PBO will upload the TI on that vetting open, creates it, and sends it to core, and then core will review it and then send it up to higher for approval. Now, if the equipment if it's on the vetting open, right? So a lot of times, if ForceCom or a core level will see it that piece of equipment is excess, they will create the vetting open for you. All you gotta do is identify the equipment at the unit level and then create and then have the maintenance provide you the TI. And then we can get into more detail about it, what kind of a TI is required for each type of equipment.
Yes, sir. So the vetting open is always created at the property book level, right, Chief?
Yes.
Okay, so the types of equipment. So say if you got, I know it's different types of equipment you guys might request disposition for. So I kind of want to cover what type of equipment requires what type of inspection. So far as vehicles, what type of equipment does vehicles require, Chief?
So you mean for a turning, right? So for a turning, it requires, since it's, all the vehicles we know they're in GCSS Army, right? So they require the job order open, the 5990. So when the maintenance create the job order, they open the job order, then they're gonna need the 5988 Echo, the vehicle inspection, and they're gonna need the 461-5. What the 461-5 is the vehicle classification of the vehicle. So that's a thorough, complete TI of the vehicle, because in there the maintenance has to capture how much is gonna be for equipment repair, how much is gonna be the man hours required for that to repair it, and then capture the dollar amount on each part that is unserviceable, or if it's broken or is damaged, and at the end they will give you a roll up, which is a COR, which is equipment classification of repairs, of how much it's gonna cost to repair that equipment, that vehicle.
Yeah, so that covers the vehicles. So other equipment, far as I know, because once the TI, that's only to create the disposition, you need the TI paperwork. So say for radios and mounts. So and far as the vehicles, chief, they would need that paperwork from maintenance. Right?
Correct. So they will need it for maintenance. If let's say if you got any, let's say if you want to send it to the another level of maintenance, like your field support maintenance or LRC. So then those agencies will they need to provide us all the TI documents before putting it on DST, on the vetting open, created. If it's already a vetting open created, if it doesn't have those documents, it's going to get kicked back from higher, from core and ForceCom, in order to have a proper documentation of a TI loaded prior sending it to core and ForceCom.
Yes, sir. So comm equipment, so radios, mounts, and stuff like that, which they are equipment sets that goes together, and sometimes in order for us to create the PSD, it'll have two different PSDs. So I know, do you know anything other than radios and mounts who, when they do the TI paperwork, chief, it creates two different PSDs for the same equipment?
So yes, so if equipment that has, like, for instance, the end item, right, the end item of the equipment has components, right? If the components are non-expendable components that require, for instance, in the medical brigade, we have MES sets that has non-expendable components that require maintenance plans. So those maintenance plans need to be on the property book. So what that happens is it creates, each component has its own lien. So what happens is you have to create a PSD with that MES set. That is, for instance, if we talk about if it's excess, right? So you create that MES set, and then along with that, you have to create separate dispositions, vetting opens for those components. And then on the remarks, the PBO or the PBO NCO who is creating that vetting open, they can add a note in the remarks saying under your vetting feedbacks and put this component is part of this other PSD that is your end item. So when core and ForceCom see it at their level, they can cut one PSD. They can cut one lateral transfer PSD, but it's going to have different PSDs within that lateral transfer because it's a whole entire component of the end item.
Yes, sir. And I want to cover something else as far as both PSDs. And so what about medical equipment? Does when the what TI paperwork does require for medical equipment?
So for the most part, for medical equipment, each installation should have a supporting medical company that you bring the equipment to the medical logistics company, and they will do your TI for you. So your medical maintainers, they will have a list of what they go by to actually, they got to make sure the calibration is complete. They got to make sure other things on the medical field, they got to check and dictate what condition of the item is going to be. So once the medical maintenance TI that equipment, they provide the TI to the S4, the unit, the PBO, and then from there we can create the disposition, the vetting open PSD.
Yes, Chief. So so once you guys bring that paperwork, which is Chief described it, the basic packet would be the directive, the 2404 or 5988 Echo, the 2407 or 5990, and the DA form 157, which is the condition code tag. So far as when that paperwork gets submitted for that piece of equipment, how long does it usually take to be approved, Chief?
So it depends, right? So from us, from the unit to brigade, and then from brigade to core, it should take about 5 days. So 5 days means 5 business days of having core review it, and then from there they send it out to Forcecom and ASC, and there will be like 5 to 7 business days. So that's normally what the turnaround will be. But if it's in the process, if it's something wrong with the vetting open or any TI, they can kick it back to the unit level for and then on the notes you can verify, hey, something wrong with the TI. You guys need to, the unit needs to go back and look at the TI one more time, and then they're usually pretty good at giving you the feedback, so the unit knows what the action needs to happen or what correction needs to be made in order to have a good TI for the equipment.
Yes, sir. So that also depends on how long the process take having a good TI, because it could be kicked back and then it takes longer to be approved. So say it gets approved, Chief. A lot of approved PSDs say the equipment's supposed to be at 1020 standards. What if the equipment is not at 1020 standards? Like, how do they conduct? What do they do then?
So if it's not 1020 standards, they have to get TACOM involved and have TACOM actually do the TI for that equipment to have a better, kind of like a better second option that they can be like, okay, yeah, this is exceeding the mail and it's over what is worth the actual equipment, right? So that's only for like vehicles, like if they have any rolling stocks or any like I said, any rolling stocks, they require like that TI standby TACOM and said
they gonna get on you by hitting the table.
Oh, they by TACOM, and then that way they can validate that with them, and then that can, if it's not 1020, and then that way, we can submit it to core and Forcecom, and then they can analyze that, and then decide, yes, this is a complete turning of the vehicle. Now, if it's, let's say, that's during vetting open, but if it's already approved and the vehicle is not 1020 based on the original TI, then we have a problem. So a lot of times I know units have equipment that is not 1020. We conduct a lot of transfer because that piece of equipment is a shortage in the Army inventory, right? So what one of my recommendation is, have a good joint TI between the two units, and then decide, come up with commander's intent and say, okay, this is what we're going to move forward with this. Have a solution and fix and bring it out to 1020. Sometimes it's a lot of, leadership involved and, SA involved, budget involved, money-wise, funding. It's a lot of things that we have to consider, when it's like a vehicle getting lateral transfer for has not been 1020. But it's always, solution that we can resolve it.
Yes, sir, because they might want to know how hard is the process with changing the disposition from, say, 1020 to as is, dealing with what the situation we in right now as far as 602nd, right?
Right.
Where they saying the repair part might not be into 2023, but the lateral transfer is past due. So in a situation like that, how can they?
So for situations like that, so we can go back and verify our TI document and then annotate those document numbers. Hey, how long is it going to take to bring the equipment back? If it's a part issue, we can reach out to core and say, hey, this is our issues that we're having with this document number for this part is not going to come until 2023. How can we lateral transfer this vehicle? So a lot of times we can go back to the unit and say, hey, do you have another piece of equipment, same equipment that is actually 1020 that you can lateral transfer. Because if that's the case, you can lateral transfer the good one, not the bad one. And if it's a good one, is not is pretty 1020, then by all means they need to execute the lateral transfer. But like again, I said, so if it's a problem with parts, we need to address it to higher in order to see how they can help us to get this vehicle 1020.
Yes, sir. So far as the dispositions, I know a lot of supply sergeants don't have ASAP access where they can track you can track your vetting open or your inbound PSDs or just regular approved PSDs. Chief, other than that, what is the easiest? What's like? How can supply sergeants reach out? How can supply sergeants find a POC for their inbound lateral transfers other than on G Army? Like, is it an easier way? I know the T code ZAM Zulu Alpha Mike Whiskey.
Right. So there they can find out on GCSS Army. They can find out who is the supply sergeant. Other ways, I would say on the disposition instructions should have a POC in there already, so they can reach out to that person and they can provide them who is gonna be the gaining unit signing for the equipment.
Yes, sir. So you guys can find the information in the PSD. But in the PSD, I wish we had a PSD right here. So, how will they? So in the PSD, does it just have the unit information, right?
Yes. So it has the UIC, the unit information, and then it has the LIN and its same quantity, suspense date, and then all the information saying how is the equipment needs to be. And then in the bottom, it will say who is approved the PSD, and then it will have a shipping to, like an address, and then normally it's the PBO in there or whoever is going to be the accountable officer for that. Maybe sometimes the SSA, if the units are not supported by LRC, some units have their own SSA, so a lot of times they might have they just gotta read that PSD in the bottom, and then maybe email those POCs that are on the PSD, and I trying to find out who is the gaining unit commander or supply sergeant, and then they should be able to assist. Somebody will promise you. Somebody will assist you with getting the right POC.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna walk you guys through on how to get ASAP access for I'll say supply sergeants. S4, I know different levels require different you have to request different access. So the website you guys would go to is idm.asap.army.mil. It's gonna bring you to the Army Enterprise portal, and then from there you're gonna click on My Information. And once you go to My Information, you want to update all your information. You want to update basically you're gonna go to the military affiliation tab. On the military affiliation tab, yeah. So you make sure you select the right corresponding option for that option. Let me see. So at the bottom where it says security officer under the My Information tab, you want to make sure that person is your. So who would that be? The security officer. That'd be S2.
Yes. So in that portion, before you submit any request or access, right, you got to make sure that, like you said, on My Information, they has to be updated. So a lot of times units, a lot of supply sergeants move PCS and they don't update that with the current unit. So that's going to cause them delays and to get access. So first thing is make sure they update their profile information. Supervisor will be the first line supervisor, and then the security officer will be their S2. And then easier way to do that is by looking at in the email. If they know the person email, type the email and it will come up quicker than typing their first name, last name, or last name, first name.
And then, as far as manager, who would their manager be?
Um, no, it shouldn't be a manager. It should just, that be your first line supervisor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then okay. So make sure you guys choose a supervisor, the security officer.
And then what happens is after that, after it's all updated, it will send an email to the supervisor and the security officer, so they can approve the request. And once it's approved, there's in this we have the slides. So if anybody um, needs some, or we can send them out as well. How to sign up after that to DST? Actually, the DST access. Once you, if you have S4 battalion S4, do you need access to view access? And you gotta just make sure that you click on the right link when you request the DST access.
Yes, sir. So once you guys update the My Information tab, you're gonna go over to Request Access tab, and then that's where you request your roles at. Yes, when you request the roles at, so you would search for whatever role you asking for in DST, and the roles vary from level to level. But I know on PBO we have what, creating PSD?
Yeah, so for PBOs and NCOs, we have, for the PBO, NCO, and myself, we have vetting roles. So what we do is we can create vettings and upload any TI, and then for the units, and then we submit it to core for approval.
And once you search for each one of your roles, you'll add them to your cart. Add them to your cart, all the roles that you're asking for.
Yeah, one thing to go back is when you request the vetting, make sure that if you shouldn't be requesting the planner, because the planner is only for certain roles, for certain individuals. So you might want to check with your organization first to see what level, depending on the job, also the script, your jobs, that dictates the roles. So if you're the S4 officer, they should just be vetting viewer roles. So that way you can view your PSD, pull your PSDs, and then yeah, that should be good.
Yes, and then once you guys add all those to your cart, make sure you guys, before you submit it, make sure you guys add the justification. And it says before you submit the request, you must first provide a justification for the request. Click in the justification field to add the reason you are requesting this role. So it says if your duties will be vetting PSDs, usually vetting PSDs is usually the supply NCO. You're gonna submit for vetter. If your duties will be creating PSDs, usually the PBO, it'll submit for planner. Whatever your duties will be should be noted within your justification, along with what UICs you will be working with. So in that justification box, you want to make sure you submit along your justification along with your unit UIC. So at the PBO, say for me, Chief, I would be planner for the whole battalion. So it would be so I guess it'll be just, so I'm trying to figure out, yours would be the brigade, right?
The brigade, yes. So for you will be, what is it? Planner roles for 261st MMB. And that's
Okay.
only for your UICs, for your battalion. For me, will be planner roles, better planner roles for 44 Medical Brigade, because I'm the PBO for the entire Medical Brigade.
Yes, sir. And the keywords being created or vetting and giving your unit and UICs that you will be working with, and the level. So you want to get the level also, battalion, brigade, or division. If your duties will be to view, monitor, track, or print the PSDs, then create viewer role. Viewer role is user created. To create viewer access, visit DST directly with this link. And the link is dst.logsa.com army.mil. So that's pretty much it. Then you guys will submit the request. And that's it. And so in order to track your request, it's another tab. When you go back to the main menu, it's another tab to track requests. So I think you'll be issued like a SAR number or something like that, where you can go in and type your the SAR number, and it gives you what level your access is at. So in closing, Chief, you got anything else?
Just to add to what you said, just make sure that when you send the request to keep that request number, the work order, I call it work order number, but to keep that number so you know if something issues that why is not getting accepted or why is not getting approved, so you can reach out to their help desk and ask for a status of what's going on with your account. A lot of times they get a lot of emails, that the help desk get a lot of requests, and they might just miss it by a few. So it's, just make sure you keep your request, the work order number that when you create the access.
Yes, sir. And if you guys need these slides, you can email me or Chief. My email is deandre.m.mcpherson.mil@army.mil. And Chief email.
My email is jose.m.francogomez.mil@army.mil.
Yes, and make sure you guys follow the podcast on Instagram at Soulja Talk the Podcast. Also, make sure you guys follow the podcast on YouTube at Soulja Talk. That's SOULJA, the podcast. And let me know what other content you guys want to see. And there you guys go. So this has been another episode of Soulja Talk the Podcast, and I'll see you guys in formation.